From Cavill abandoning his roles as Geralt and Superman, to Amazon earning the rights to the entire Warhammer universe, here's what Henry Cavill fans can expect from the Warhammer 40K series. This Hollywood heartthrob's been on quite a roller coaster ride lately, saying goodbye to both of the biggest roles in his career, The Witcher and Superman. But don't worry, he's not going to be filling out his unemployment papers anytime soon, because things are about to get wild with Amazon's upcoming adaptation of the tabletop game, Warhammer 40K. And if Cavill and Amazon play their cards right, we might just witness the birth of the next big thing on TV, something that could rival even iconic sci-fi giants like Star Wars. Now, we all know that Amazon isn't hurting in the financial department. Just take a look at the Rings of Power. They practically showered it with cash. Maybe the Warhammer adaptation won't have Jeff Bezos personally bankrolling the whole thing, which he did for his beloved Lord of the Rings show. But come on, it's Amazon we're talking about here. So this series is set to have a pretty penny supporting it. And based on Amazon's track record with genre-based TV shows, you can bet they won't be skimping on the production value. But if Amazon's treating the series like a trust fund baby, what does Cavill have to do with it? Everyone knows Henry's not some run-of-the-mill actor. He's the real deal, a talented actor, hardcore gamer, and most importantly, a self-proclaimed Warhammer fanboy. Just scroll through his social media or one of his interviews and you'll see his love for the game, so it's no wonder he's the perfect choice to bring 40K to life on the small screen. But Cavill's not just going to be stepping in front of the camera for this show. He's also donning the executive producer hat, working alongside Amazon and using his knowledge of the lore to guide them. That's right. As Henry's put it himself, Warhammer is his jam. And he's not gonna let Amazon water down its intricate world design. I mean, just take a look at the roles he's been in. We all know him as Superman and Geralt of Rivia, but the guy's also rocked the screen as Napoleon Solo in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Sherlock Holmes in the Enola Holmes films, and even gave us chills as the villainous August Walker in Mission Impossible Fallout. This guy doesn't just take on roles for the fat paychecks. Though those are a bonus, he carefully selects roles in projects that he genuinely cares about. So all you fans can breathe a sigh of relief, because the essence and grandeur of this universe will remain intact when it hits the super streamer. Back in December 2022, the beloved star also took to Instagram and poured his heart out in a lengthy post. The short clip featured the franchise's logo and a caption talking about how the star had been dreaming about a Warhammer series for 30 years, and that after 22 years of experience in this industry, he finally felt like he had the skills and experience to bring a Warhammer cinematic universe to life. Cavill also went on to express his gratitude to Natalie Viscuso at Vertigo, who was not only an incredible partner, but also helped him find the perfect home at Amazon. Henry promised fans that he'd respect the beloved IP, deliver something familiar, and strive to bring something absolutely mind-blowing and completely fresh to the table. The star wrapped up by saying that they were currently assembling a crew who'll be helping bring this epic universe to life. But when it's Amazon in charge of a Warhammer 40K TV show, there's also a risk of them watering down the unique essence of the series. Let's be real here. The Warhammer universe is as insane as your average Chaos Marine, and it's enough to land you in a rubber room with rats. It's a dark sci-fi military space opera that's not everyone's cup of tea. This isn't a simple light versus dark story like Star Wars, because each faction is both just as good and just as bad as the rest. So if Amazon wants to do justice to the series, they're gonna have to take a big leap of faith. The last thing anyone wants is for this super niche series to be transformed into a watered-down, flavorless version of itself, designed just to please the audience. That'd be a major bummer for any die-hard fan, including Cavill. So I don't know about you, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. With all that out of the way though, let's talk plot. Here's where things get tricky. Both Cavill and Amazon haven't given us any details yet, and it's anyone's guess because the plot of tabletop games is in the player's hands. But what I can tell you is that Warhammer's influenced by some of the biggest guns in sci-fi and fantasy, and I'm talking classics like Lord of the Rings and Dune. So if you're a fan of those franchises, then you'll find yourself right at home in the Warhammer universe. Even if you're not big on sci-fi, the series doesn't settle for just one genre either, combining it with the best of both fantasy and horror. Even H.P. Lovecraft, the master of the eldritch horror, has left his mark on the lore. His writings have greatly influenced the game's darker aspects, especially the mind-bending, otherworldly corners of its lore. So brace yourselves for a healthy dose of Lovecraftian horror thrown into the mix. Now, I know this combination of influences might not sound easy for newcomers, but wasn't there a time when a film about a magical ring and a group of adventurers sounded insane? And even that turned into a global phenomenon. So don't go turning your back on the series just yet. But don't take my word for it. Even hardcore fans are supporting the adaptation, coming up with predictions for who Cavill will be playing in the series. Many fans have already pictured the star as the God Emperor of mankind, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, that guy's literally a walking corpse, so I doubt Cavill's interested, unless they decide to delve into the Horus heresy. But even then, it'd make more sense for our dashing actor to portray Horus Lupercal, the arch-traitor of those novels, or maybe even Garviel Loken, a heroic space marine who fights against his rebellious brothers. But let's be real here. Amazon will likely play it smart and take things one step at a time, building the foundation for the bigger parts of the series and telling smaller stories that build up to an epic of galactic proportions like the MCU. So we might just see Cavill slipping into the shoes of Inquisitor Eisenhorn, a renowned Inquisitor of the Ordo Xenos, one of the heavy hitters in the Inquisition. Or perhaps he could bring Commissar Gaunt to life, a political officer who also happens to be a kick-ass military leader. My bet's on Eisenhorn, though, because that'd place the narrative closer to the centers of power in the vast 40K universe, opening up the possibility for a recurring role and more interconnected stories. But with lore so massive that no one's ever compiled it in one place, lore videos dedicating an hour just to describe each of the different factions, Amazon can easily expand the story beyond the 40K universe as well. The 40K verse is a goldmine of factions and races, each with their own unique story to tell. There's so much material here that you could literally release a 10-episode season each year, and it would take you decades to run out of ideas, and that's just 40K. Warhammer juggles a lot of other storylines, some dating back centuries before the main action even begins. And then there's all the spin-offs and offshoots that branch out from the core 40K brand as well. Take Necromunda, for example, which is basically the unofficial worst timeline of the series, filled with nothing but darkness and gritty content. And then there's also the fantasy counterpart simply called Warhammer, which shares many gameplay similarities with 40K, but takes place in a different setting, following its own set of characters and plots. Knowing Amazon, they'll want to squeeze every last drop of potential from this investment. And who can blame them? Games Workshop, the brilliant minds behind the franchise, has made it clear from the get-go that this partnership covers the rights to the entire universe, spanning across series, film, and even video games. So if this first step into the Warhammer universe proves successful, and let's be honest, it's Cavill and Warhammer, what could go wrong? You can bet Amazon will be churning out more Warhammer projects than you can handle. They've been looking for a sci-fi franchise to call their own, and it looks like they've finally struck gold. So there you have it. From Cavill abandoning his roles as Geralt and Superman, to Amazon earning the rights to the entire Warhammer universe. That's what Henry Cavill fans can expect from the Warhammer 40K series.